Marking the 23rd anniversary of the September 11 attacks, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris visited all three major 9/11 memorial sites, laying wreaths and paying their respects. Former President Donald Trump also visited the Flight 93 National Memorial in Pennsylvania, where he laid wreaths and met with the local fire department volunteers. Meanwhile, in St. Paul, Minnesota, Democratic Vice Presidential nominee and Governor Tim Walz participated in community service and delivered a heartfelt speech on unity and remembrance. Here's a closer look at the day's commemorations. Take a look.
On the 23rd anniversary of the September 11 attacks, notable figures across the United States took part in memorial events to honor the lives lost. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris began their day with a visit to the Pentagon, one of the three major 9/11 memorial sites. They were accompanied by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin
and my grandfather, FDNY Captain James J. Corrigan. We love you so much and we miss you so much. Me and my three sisters wish we got to meet you.
At the Pentagon, Biden and Harris laid a wreath to honor the lives lost in the attacks that took down the World Trade Center towers and damaged the Pentagon itself. After the wreath-laying ceremony, they observed a moment of silence as taps was played, paying tribute to nearly 3,000 victims of the attacks. They visited other memorial sites, where they paid their respects and engaged with families and survivors. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump made a stop at the Flight 93 National Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where he laid 2 wreaths. Trump, accompanied by his son, Eric Trump, placed 1 wreath at the Wall of Names honoring the 40 victims of Flight 93 and another at the Sandstone Boulder marking the crashed site. Trump also took time to speak with local volunteer firefighters and address flight members of Flight 93 victims inside the fire hall. In St. Paul, Minnesota, Democratic Vice Presidential nominee and Governor Tim Walz marked the anniversary with a community event.
I picture that moment of disbelief, of horror, and for me it was a classroom at Mankato West, and students started to filter in the morning when news was happening, and to watch young faces try and comprehend the horror that was in front of them. To all the mothers, fathers, sons and daughters that were lost, to all of the first responders who were lost and responded and suffered illness years later because of this. As Lieutenant Governor also said, Cindy's going to be up here in a minute, and she lost her husband, but I'm always so inspired by where people at their moment of grief do find the ability to turn that into something positive. I don't know the courage where that comes from deep inside them, this idea that we do things together. And I think for all of us, it's not just word of remembering, it is indeed of what you're doing.
Governor Walz reflected on the unity and resilience shown in the aftermath of the 9/11. He spent part of the day volunteering, packing meals with community members, emphasizing the value of coming together in times of crisis.
It may have not lasted as long as we'd have liked, but there was a moment of unity around shared values. There was a moment of unity about caring for one another. There was a moment of unity that we're all in this together and that we rally around. And I think it is something that in Minnesota, I can't express my deep gratitude and thanks. It's in the time of need that we become our very best. It's in the time of trauma that we rise to the occasion. And so thank you all for being here today. Thanks for continuing to make it not just another day on the calendar, but a way to express that we are truly honoring the memory of those folks by showing all that unity and all that binds us together.
Across the country, from Washington, D.C. to Pennsylvania and Minnesota, leaders and citizens came together to honor the memory of those lost on September 11, 2001.